And I'm tapping in, I'm tapping in, I'm tapping in. Thank y'all for tapping in to Yocuzpodcast, man. Y'all know who it is, man. It's Cuz in the building, man. Y'all already know, man. We're going to talk about Uncle Trump today because we got a whole conversation from Uncle Trump today. Y'all already know what it is. Thank y'all for subscribing, like, and dropping a comment out of this episode, man. Y'all already know we lit on the Yocuzpodcast. What's up, y'all? What's up to all my new subscribers? What's up to all my old subscribers? Y'all are now YouTube family, man. I appreciate all the support that y'all been giving the YouTube page. I love you. I love you. I love you, man. I appreciate all the love that y'all giving me, man. Listen, man, we lit. Shout out to my team. Shout out to all the guests, man, that been coming on the show, man, giving me a whole hour of their time, man. That means a whole lot. Like I say, man, thank y'all for tapping in the Yocuzpodcast, and I love y'all. Let's get lit. PSA, man, we got a whole conversation, man, with Uncle Trump today, talking about what he did, what he going to do, and what's going on now, man. I just need y'all to stay focused and stay on point, because we going in with Uncle Trump today. Stay focused. Let's go.
Very special episode of The Conversation. I just wrapped up an interview with President Donald Trump here at the White House. We spoke for about 45 minutes about the seismic impact that he is having all over the world, especially right now in Europe when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war and when it comes to his relationship with our longtime allies. A very significant shift that his administration is looking to see on the European continent. We talked about Venezuela, of course, and then those domestic issues that are so important to Americans every day right now. That's talking about cost of living and affordability. It's talking about health care and those Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year. It was a wide-ranging conversation. Here is my interview with President Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
So Politico has named you as the most influential person shaping Europe as part of our annual Politico 28 list. Past names that have topped the list include President Zelensky, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and President Viktor Orban. This year, Politico broke precedent to recognize an American for the first time in the history of P28. And sir, there is no question that you are having a seismic impact on the continent and its politics. One of the most pressing issues in Europe right now is the war between Russia and Ukraine. Your team has been going back and forth.
I wouldn't say one, I would say the most.
The most, you're right. Your team has been going back and forth between Putin and Zelensky with various drafts of a peace deal. Which country right now is in the stronger negotiating position?
Well, there can be no question about it. It's Russia. It's a much bigger country. It's a war that should have never happened. Frankly, it wouldn't have happened if I were president, and it didn't happen for 4 years. I watched that taking place, and I said, wow, they're going to cause some problems here. And it started, and it could have evolved into World War III, frankly. I think it's probably not going to be happening now. I think if I weren't president, you could have had World War III. I think you would have had a much bigger problem than you have right now. But right now, it's a big problem. It's a big problem for Europe, and they're not handling it well.
Last night you said that you weren't sure if President Zelensky was fine with the most recent proposal, that he isn't ready. I was hearing from your advisors around Thanksgiving that they thought this thing might be wrapped up by the end of the holiday, but it's still not done. Is Zelensky responsible for the stalled progress, or what's going on there?
Well, he's got to read the proposal. He hadn't he hasn't read it yet.
The most recent draft.
That's as of yesterday. And maybe he's read it over the night. It would be nice if he would read it. You know, a lot of people are dying, so it would be really good if he'd read it. His people loved the proposal. They really liked it. His lieutenants, his top people, they liked it. But they said he hasn't read it yet. I think he should find time to read it.
Is it time for Ukraine to hold an election, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time. It hasn't been doing particularly well. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's an important time to hold an election. You know, they're using war not to hold an election, but I would think the Ukrainian people would, should have that choice, and maybe Zelensky would win. I don't know who would win, but They haven't had an election in a long time. You know, they talk about a democracy, but it gets to a point where it's not a democracy anymore.
On Sunday, your son, Donald Trump Jr., responded to a reporter's question about whether you will, quote, walk away from Ukraine. And your son said, I think he may. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, but it's not exactly wrong. We have to, you know, they have to play ball if they don't read agreements, potential agreements. You know, it's not easy with Russia because Russia has the upper hand, and they always did. They're much bigger, they're much stronger in that sense. I give Ukraine I give the people of Ukraine and the military of Ukraine tremendous credit for the, you know, bravery and for the fighting and all of that. But you know, at some point, size will win generally, and this is.
Listen, listen, YouTube family. Do y'all really think that Trump could stop this war shit? Because it's like this war thing is going real crazy right now, and he really need to stop it. It's not a game. Like they killing each other, and he know they killing each other, but he's still not trying to stop it, man. Drop it in the chat, man. Let me know if y'all think Trump could stop the war because he can't. Then you got his son hopping in conversations now. Man, this shit crazy, man. Pay attention.
The massive size. You take a look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers are just crazy. This is not a war that should have happened. This is a war that would have never happened if I were president. It's so sad. Millions of people are dead. Many, many soldiers. You know, last month they lost 27,000 soldiers.
Damn.
And some people from missiles being launched into Kiev and other places.
27,000
But
soldiers.
what a sad
people.
thing for humanity. You know, this doesn't affect us. Our country is no longer paying any money. It was just Biden gave him $350 billion so stupidly. And, you know, if he wouldn't have given it, maybe something else would have happened. But Putin had no respect for Biden, and he had no respect for Zelensky. Didn't like Zelensky. They really hate each other. And part of the problem is they hate each other really a lot, you know? And it's very hard for them to try and make a deal. It's harder than most. I settled 8 wars, and this, I would have said, this is the 9th. This would have been the easiest one, I would have said, or one of the easier ones. I mean, I settled one that was going on for 36 years.
Damn.
I settled Pakistan and India. I settled so many wars. I'm very proud of it. And I do it pretty routinely, pretty easily. It's not hard for me to do. It's what I do. I make deals. This one is tough. One of the reasons is the level of hatred between Putin and Zelensky is tremendous.
And you're right, you're not spending money, but you sort of are spending your time and your energy on this.
I want to stop saving, you know, I want to stop seeing people killed.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal,
Yeah.
like, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. You know, when you're losing, because you're losing.
Do you think Ukraine has lost this war?
Well, they've lost territory long before I got here. They lost a whole strip of seafront, big seafront. I mean, you look at the maps. I've been here for 10 months, but you go back 10 months and take a look. They lost that whole strip. It's now a bigger strip. It's a wider strip, but they lost a lot of land, and it's very good land, too, that they lost. You certainly wouldn't say it's a victory. I could show you a chart. It's a lot of land they lost.
It's a lot of land. I think
think of it. If our election wasn't rigged, it was a rigged election now, everyone knows. It's going to come out over the next couple of months too, loud and clear, because we have all the information there. But if the election wasn't rigged and stolen, you wouldn't even be talking about Ukraine right now.
The resounding consensus in Europe right now is that they want to keep supporting Ukraine until they can win this war.
Until they drop, yeah.
Well, is that realistic in your view?
I mean, look, then they should support it. Europe I'm friendly with all of them. I mean, I like all of them. I have no real enemy. I've had a couple that I didn't like over the years. I actually like the current crew. I like them a lot. But and I know them very well. I know them really well. Some are friends, some are okay. I know the good leaders, I know the bad leaders, I know the smart ones, I know the stupid ones. You got some real stupid ones too. But they're not doing a good job. Europe is not doing a good job in many ways. They're not doing a good job.
I want to ask
they
you
talk
about
too
that.
much, and They're not producing. We're talking about Ukraine. They talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on. I mean, 4 years now it's been going on, long before I got here. This is not my war. This is Joe Biden's war. And in terms of America, it's a very sad thing. And the only reason I really care about it is because I hate to see young, beautiful people being killed. That's largely why I got involved. I mean, if you look at the Congo and Rwanda, that's been going on. 14 million people at least killed. Nobody has any idea how many, but killed. Machetes, a lot of machete killings, vicious. But if you look at the wars, and some of the wars that really were going to be millions and millions of people. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of people by getting involved with the, stopping India and Pakistan from fighting.
I do want to go back to Europe for a moment, though, because you said they're not doing a lot of things right in your view. And just last...
they can't be doing right because look what's happened.
Well, your administration just released a new national security strategy that sent shockwaves throughout Europe. The strategy says a key pillar of American foreign policy should be, quote, cultivating resistance to Europe's current trajectory within European nations. How much should European leaders prepare for your administration to push to reshape the continent's politics?
Well, Europe is a different place.
What do you mean by that?
And if it keeps going the way it's going, Europe will not be, in my opinion, many of those countries will not be viable countries any longer. Their immigration policy is a disaster. What they're doing with immigration is a disaster. We had a disaster coming, but I was able to stop it. We have no people coming through our borders now. 0, 7 months. I mean, who would believe 0? We went from millions of people, in some cases millions of people a month, but millions of people to no people.
That's not what Europe looks like.
The opposite, yeah. I know Europe, they're coming in from all parts of the world, not just the Middle East. They're coming in from the Congo, tremendous numbers of people coming from the Congo. And even worse, they're coming from prisons of the Congo and many other countries. And for some reason, they want to be politically correct, which actually I think is the opposite of politically correct. But they want to be politically correct, and they don't want to send them back to where they came from. And Europe is, if you take a look at Paris, it's a much different place. I loved Paris. It's a much different place than it was. If you take a look at London, you have a mayor named Khan. He's a horrible mayor. He's an incompetent mayor, but he's a horrible, vicious, disgusting mayor. I think he's done a terrible job. London's a different place. I love London. I love London. And I hate to see it happen. My roots are in Europe, as you know.
Right.
And I hate to see that happen. This is one of the great places in the world, and they're allowing people just to come in and unchecked, unvetted.
So how involved are you going to get? I mean, could we see you getting involved in European
elections? I want to run the United
example?
States. I don't want to run Europe. I'm involved in Europe very much.
Might you endorse
NATO
candidates?
calls me daddy. I mean, I have a lot to say about it. Look, I raised, the GDP from 2% to 5%. The 2% they weren't paying and the 5% they are paying. And they're paying it because when we send things over, NATO pays for it, and I assume they give it to Ukraine. But Europe is being destroyed.
Would you consider getting involved in some of those elections to put in leaders that you think are better suited?
Well, I've endorsed people, but I've endorsed people that a lot of Europeans don't like. I've endorsed Viktor Orban. I endorsed go back to South America, Latin America, South America, Milei, Argentina. He was losing in the election, and I endorsed him, and he won in a landslide.
Yeah, with Viktor Orban, beyond endorsing, he recently said that you promised him access to U.S.-backed financial shield worth up to $20 billion. Is that right?
No, I didn't promise him, but he certainly asked for it. But
would you consider giving that to him?
I just think he's doing a very good job in a different sense on immigration. His country's landlocked. He's got a different kind of a country. He doesn't have the sea, so he can't have ships coming in with energy. He's got a big pipe coming in from Russia. They've had it for a long time. It's a different situation he's got.
So would you consider some financial assistance there?
He's really gotten right is the immigration, because he allows nobody in his country. And Poland has done a very good job in that respect too. But most European nations, they're decaying. They're decaying.
You can imagine some leaders in Europe are a little freaked out by what your posture is, and European.
No, they should be freaked out by what they're doing to their countries. They're destroying their countries.
Well,
And
European Council
and
President.
they're people I like. Look, they're people I like. I get along with them. You know that. But they can't let this happen. And it gets to a point where you can't really correct it. There'll be a point, and it's very close to that
And
point.
what will that mean?
It will mean that they're no longer going to be strong nations.
Does that mean they won't be allies
Or
anymore?
they'll be, well, it depends, it depends. They'll change their ideology, obviously, because the people coming in have a totally different ideology. But it's going to make them much weaker. They'll be much weaker, and they'll be much different.
And what will that mean for our relationship
look at
with
your mayor
them?
of London. He's a disaster. He's a disaster. He's got a totally different ideology of what he's supposed to have. And he gets elected because so many people have come in and they vote for him now because, it's like, it's one of those things. But I hate what's happened to London, and I hate what's happened to Paris. I hate when I see it.
Sir, it's sometimes hard to tell when you say these things. Do you intend to send kind of a message of tough love to our allies to push them to make reforms? Or do you think that many of them are just weak and you don't really want to be allies with them?
I think they're weak, but I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do. They don't know what to do on trade either. I mean, I look at a lot of the trade, situation that's going on over there. It's a little bit dangerous, but Europe, they want to be politically correct, and it makes them weak. That's what makes them weak.
It sounds like you want to see some pretty massive changes.
Well, I think they should get the people out that came into the country illegally.
I want to ask about NATO.
If you take a look at Sweden, so Sweden was known as the safest country in Europe, one of the safest countries in the world. Now it's known as a very unsafe, pretty unsafe country. It's not even believable. It's a whole different country, Sweden.
Well, and Sweden most recently joined NATO. One of the things that the national security strategy says is that the U.S. should work toward ending the perception and preventing the reality of NATO as a perpetually expanding alliance. Are there countries in NATO that you think shouldn't be in the alliance?
Well,
Sweden,
there
for
are
example?
countries that are difficult for NATO. Not that they shouldn't be. I think it's good to have them. Turkey's an example. Erdogan, he's a friend of mine. Whenever they have a problem with Erdogan, they ask me to call because they can't speak to him. He's a tough cookie. I actually like him a lot. I think actually, look, he's built a strong country, strong military. But they have a hard time dealing with him, and they ask me to call him. And I do call him, and I always work it out with him. He and I work it out really quickly. We had some people that he released that were taken and going through years and years of court cases and everything else. And I said, you got to release him. And he did. He is, very different than a lot of the other leaders. But they have a hard time with him. But they shouldn't really have a hard time.
Should NATO stop accepting new members? Should NATO end where it is now?
Well, there aren't that many left when you get right down to it, right? There aren't that many left. It was always, long before Putin, it was an understanding that Ukraine would not be going into NATO. This was long before Putin, in all fairness. And now they pushed, when Zelensky first went in and first met Putin, he said, I want two things. I want Crimea back, and we're going to be a member of NATO. He didn't say it in a very nice way either, He's a great salesman. I call him P.T. Barnum. You know who P.T. Barnum was, right?
I do.
One of the greatest on earth. He could sell any product at any time. That was his expression. I can sell any product at any time. It was true. He said, doesn't matter whether it works or not. But he's P.T. Barnum, He got crooked Joe Biden to give him $350 billion. And look what it got. It got him about 25% of his country is missing. And in all fairness to Biden, Obama gave away Crimea.
Right, that all happened in 2014.
Obama, because Crimea was the heart. I'm a real estate person at heart, right? I'm very good at real estate. And every time I look at that map, I said, oh, this Crimea is so beautiful. Wow. It's surrounded on four sides by ocean. It's only got a little piece of land to get to, to the main, Crimea is massive. But it connects the part of Ukraine that we talk about now,
Right.
through a small little jetty. It's 4 sides of ocean in the warmest part. It's got the best weather, best everything. And I know you are Ukrainian, and you know Ukraine very well. And Obama forced them to give up Crimea. That was I remember when it happened, but I wasn't involved like I am now. You know, to the knowledge that I have now, I have great knowledge of Ukraine now. I have great knowledge of
really,
many
this
countries.
conflict began back in 2014. People forget, long before the invasion of a few years ago.
Well, you know when this conflict really began, though? It was simmering for years, but when Obama gave up Crimea, that was a big thing.
I do want to ask.
Do you agree with that? That was a big piece to give up. You are of Ukrainian descent.
That was a major, I mean, I remember, you know, when I first moved to the United States, a lot of people didn't know what Ukraine even was. And it was in 2014 that people suddenly started to realize how significant geopolitically that area really is.
No, I just say, from the standpoint of beauty, weather, everything, Crimea is the warmest. It's just got such great potential. And Obama forced them. Obama did this. This is not Biden. Well, maybe he was involved, but I doubt it. He probably didn't know too much then either. He was never the brightest bulb. But, you know, Obama gave away. He made them give it away.
Well, I do think your approach to Europe is so different than any of your predecessors. And
I just want to see a strong Europe.
And this national security strategy, I mean, says a lot about the changes that you want.
But you have to understand. Here's my approach to Europe. I want to see a strong Europe. When they allow millions of people to pour into their countries, many of these people are committing tremendous crimes. And again, look at Sweden. I'm not knocking Sweden. I love Sweden. I love the people of Sweden. But they go from a crime-free country to a country that has a lot of crime now. Look at Germany. Germany was crime-free, and Angela made 2 big mistakes: immigration and energy. But those 2 are beauties.
Well, one country that is pleased with the change in strategy from the United States is Russia. A Kremlin spokesperson called the strategy document a, quote, positive step, and said the adjustments they're seeing are, quote, largely consistent with Moscow's vision. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I think he'd like to see a weak Europe. And so, you know, to be honest with you, he's getting that. That has nothing to do with me.
But he thinks the changes that you're making and what you laid out in your vision for Europe is what Moscow wants to see.
I have no vision for Europe. All I want to see is a strong Europe. Look, I have a vision for the United States, America first. It's make America great again. I do explain to Europe because I think, you know, I'm supposed to be a very smart person. I have eyes. I have ears. I have knowledge. I have vast knowledge. I see what's happening. I get reports that you will never see. And I think it's horrible.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creator.
As I said, why aren't we doing battleships like we used to? And these are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. So if you look at the Iowa, the Missouri, Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size, some a little bit bigger than the others. But if you take the biggest one, it's 100 times more powerful. They're longer by a little bit, but and they're bigger. They're bigger ships, but they hold much more. They use the word lethality. Battleships are the largest, sturdiest, and most heavily armed vessel built specifically for naval combat. While America has built many new warships over the years, they've tended to be smaller and much smaller, and not conducive to where we are and where we're going and peace through strength. But including, we've been building aircraft carriers. We're going to be upping that also. We're going to be going to a superior aircraft. We have the Ford class. We're going to be upping that to a different class of aircraft carrier. And we haven't built a battleship since 1994. These cutting-edge vessels will be some of the most lethal surface warfare ships It will be actually the most ever built other than our submarines. We have submarines which will have, in many ways, even more lethality, and we have many of them under construction. Each one of these will be the largest battleship in the history of our country, the largest battleship in the history of the world ever built. And again, it's 100 times more powerful than the previous Iowa class, it's called. Those are the big ones that you'd see on a show. Victory at Sea. I don't know if anyone's seen Victory at Sea, but it was a classic. They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world. We want respect. We're going to have it. We already have it. We're more respected now than we ever were. A year and a half ago, they laughed at us. Now they respect us again at levels that they've never respected us. We envision that these two ships, we're talking about 10, but we're going to start with 2, and we're going to quickly morph into 10. And ultimately, we think it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 25 of these. But we're starting with the first 2 immediately, and we're going to then be very quickly involved with, I think, we're going to do another.
Listen, man, drop a comment if you think Trump having a good conversation tonight. I'm going to catch y'all on part 2. Thank y'all for tapping in at Yocuzpodcast. Gone.